Hi, thank you for joining us. Welcome. I'm Joe Guam and this is Progressive Strategic Coaching. So last episode, we left off in kind of scratching the surface of defining and talking about high-level requirements. And hopefully that video kind of explains why I feel like we should start with high-level requirements. So this video, I wanted to take that a step further and actually do some exercises defining high-level requirements. So if you missed the last video, it would be good to jump back a step and just take a look at some of the points that we talked about in the last video to kind of get caught up. But let's jump right into it. So the best practice for defining high-level requirements, if you have all the budget in the world and all the time, right, is to have a project team that assigns professional business analysts who are experts and well-versed in defining high-level requirements, defining requirements in general. And these business analysts, or BAs as we refer to them, work directly with subject matter experts in your company or your field. And subject matter experts, we kind of abbreviate to the term SME, right? SME. So the BAs work with the SMEs to define high-level requirements. In this best practice scenario, the SMEs are fully dedicated, 100% dedicated. They're not doing anything else. They're taking completely offline, and they are dedicated to the project, to the business analysts to define the requirements. And the BAs guide them in defining all the requirements that are needed and extracting all the knowledge. And they end up with a definition and document summarizing all of the high-level requirements. So that's the best practice, right? If you have all the money in the world and you have all the people and the resources and the time to do so, that's ideally what you should do. It gets a really great results. But we're here in the real practice world, so what do we do if we don't have the ability to do the best practice, right? Okay, so here's a scenario where maybe the best practice isn't possible, right? Maybe your company or you don't have access to professional business analysts. Maybe in your community that service or those skill sets don't exist, right? Or maybe you don't have the budget to hire it. Or as with the case with a lot of people, your subject matter experts can't be taken 100% offline, right? They have operations to do. They have to do a lot of tasks for the norm to keep the lights on, so to speak, or keep the boat afloat. So now in this case, your project managers have to do a dual role and become a business analyst or play that business analyst role. But it's interesting though, because the business analyst to project manager is kind of a common progression that we see a lot in the industry. So having a PM do BA work is not really too out of the question. So anyways, in this case, in this scenario, with the real practice scenario, so to speak, the PMs have to lead the defining of the high-level requirements. And that's, a lot of the times that's really the case, and it's not too uncommon in today's world. So let's talk a little bit about defining high-level requirements, because that's what we wanted to dive into in this episode. So defining high-level requirements, first of all, it should be really easy for subject matter experts. And I'll give you a little example a little later of how that it should be easy. It should be everyday knowledge. It should take little to no preparation. So when you're going to define high-level requirements with the subject matter experts in your field or in your company, you shouldn't have to do much preparation for this because they should know this all the time. So here's a very quick example that can kind of show you what I mean by little to no preparations required to do this. So just think, I want you to think, don't do anything, don't research anything, don't Google, just think right now. What are 5 things that you do with your mobile phone, your device, whether you have an iPhone or Samsung? What are 5 things, or at least 5 things that you do every day with your mobile device? Go ahead and shout it out if you want. I'm going to throw out some that I already wrote down really quickly. YouTube, number 1, because this is on YouTube. Text message, email, voice calls, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. Shameless plug, if you're on Instagram, I'm at Joe Guam on my musical side, but you can follow us at Progressive as well. That'd be cool. So a little shameless plug, thanks. But yeah, those are a bunch of things that you do with your phone every day. Now, with those things that we called out, we didn't have to go and research or prepare for that. We already knew 5 things that we do with our phone every day. And the reason why you already knew those and you could shout those things out is because you are the subject matter expert of your phone. You're the SME of your phone. Nobody knows your phone better than you do. So that's the reason why you're able to shout out those things. Now, if you're working with a SME in your company, that's what you want. You just want them to be there to represent the things that they do every day that they're experts in, that they need little to no preparation to do. So, by the way, if you're already enjoying this video, or if you at any point in this video, can I just ask you to please just hit the like button or subscribe if you're not already subscribed. That really helps us. So if you've gotten some value out of any of these episodes, we'd appreciate it if you could just give us some value back by just hitting the like button. So here we go. Here is a cool story. It's an example of high-level requirement success and the value of high-level requirements, okay? So at one point in my career as a project manager, I got a very, very sudden call from a C-level employee, so somebody in the chief level, right? They asked me, could I come in and sit on a call with a quote-unquote sales guy? And if you don't know the reference to the quote-unquote sales guy, you can jump back an episode and take a look at that and talk about the sales guy that you'll eventually encounter, right? So we got a quick call to jump on a call with the sales guy. No high-level requirements were defined for this call at all. So what I did was I sent a quick email to 5 subject matter experts that I knew that were in our company and our team. And it was an email related to the sales call that we were going to get on. I defined, 3 or 4 high-level requirements really quickly that I knew, and I sent it off to them asking them for any high-level requirements that they would possibly know or they could contribute. Within 5 minutes, I got back a bunch of emails from these 5 subject matter experts, and we compiled 18 high-level requirements within 5 minutes. That's how quick high-level requirements should be defined. So we got 18. So we go into this sales call with the sales guy, and we obviously introduced ourselves, but right after the introductions, we stopped the sales pitch. They were trying to present a whole bunch of things to us, and we said, hey, we have some high-level requirements, and we wanted to see if these high-level requirements match the product that you're trying to sell us. And so they were happy about that we had some high-level requirements, and they said, yeah. So we started talking about them. Interestingly enough, on this 1-hour call, they weren't able to get past the second high-level requirement. The first 2 were so challenging for them. So they asked to get a copy, a listing of our 18 high-level requirements. We gave it to them, and they wanted to have some time to review it and get back to us. Unfortunately, we never heard from them again. They had a hard time just meeting the very first 2 high-level requirements that were really critical for us. And those, I guess, may have scared them away because their product really couldn't fit our needs. So if you remember from the last episode, I had mentioned that if you're in, if you have your high-level requirements defined, the sales guy ends up working for you because they have to figure out how they can meet your requirements, how they can meet your needs in order to make that sale. So that saved us as a company really a lot of money because it saved our valuable time of our resources. And in the project management world, time of resources equals money. You're paying per hour basically. So we found another product that ended up meeting our needs a lot better. And that ended up working out for us for better because we met our needs. So again, in that case, the sales guy didn't really want to work to make the sale because it was too hard of requirements, but it saved us time from getting a product that wasn't really going to meet our needs. So I wanted to jump right into doing an exercise with you guys on how to define level requirements. And this is going to sound kind of silly in a way, but it's really more about getting across how to define high-level requirements. So I wanted to use something very simple that anyone can use and anyone can understand. And this has worked out a lot in the coaching sessions that I've done before. So let's just talk about an easy project, which is, delivering or procuring, I don't want to use the word procuring, but making a dessert for a party. So that's your assignment. You have to bring a dessert for a party. And if you're not really one for desserts and you're really more into cooking, then maybe you can think of yourself as you have to bring like ribs, barbecue ribs for the party or some sort of protein or meat for the party. So it's kind of the same concept, but let's say it's dessert. So I'm going to jump right away and see if I can define really quickly, some high-level requirements for the dessert to get us started, right? So maybe you can jump along too, take some notes if you want. So right off the bat, I already know that it has to be something sweet because it's a dessert. So something sweet. I'm gonna choose and say my high-level requirements I'm defining is chocolate cake. There's got to be a chocolate icing. That's number 3. I don't want any filling inside of it. Just personally, I don't like any filling, so I just want all cake, no filling. That's 4. No nuts, because there's possibly allergies out there. That's 5. It's gonna approximately serve 30 people, so 30 servings what we're looking for. And from that, I'm taking in choosing some sizes of cakes. I found that 12 by 16 by 3-inch cake, that feeds about 30 people. So right there we have 12 by 16 by 3 inches, and I just Googled that. It was quick and easy. And obviously right there, that defines that the cake is gonna be rectangle and not round. The cake has to be pre-cut for delivery, so that means they're not able to cut it there at the party, so they want it pre-cut. It's gonna be delivered on a cake stand. They don't want it just on the plate or in the cooking sheet that it was in. It wants to be on a cake stand. And the cake has to be cooled to room temperature. So they don't want it delivered hot, or they don't want it cold from a refrigerator. They want it at room temperature. So right there, so quickly, you can think about those things. And if you bake at all, you would actually be able to define those really quickly, and that didn't take very long. When I made this list, I'm reading from an iPad, but when I made this list, it really took very, very few seconds to put that list together, because I like baking. And it's a process that I'm familiar with. So if you are a subject matter expert in baking, or if you know someone who's a subject matter expert in baking, these are very easy things to define. That's the way it should be for all of your projects and for all of your subject matter experts. So now that you kind of have a little bit of a better idea of defining high-level requirements and how easy and quick they should be, and why I feel like you should start with them, now we have a really good idea of the type of dessert that we want to bring to this party. So I ask you some questions to think about. Number 1, what are other high-level requirements that I may have missed that we could add to this dessert high-level requirements list, right? Please drop it in the comments. Let me know what else we could define that could help narrow it down. Maybe you were throwing out someone else saying it, so please tell me in the comments. Also, what are some high-level requirements that you maybe can think of and define for your project? If you have any questions about how you're defining it, or if you're stumbling upon like a little bit of an obstacle, throw it in the comments. I wouldn't mind helping you out in the comments as well, giving you some advice maybe that can help you through those obstacles. But here's the next step to think about. If we're baking this cake ourselves, we're pretty much set. We know that we're baking a chocolate cake, chocolate ice cream. We know exactly what we're gonna follow. So we have our guidelines and we're gonna just take off and start baking. But what if we're not baking this ourselves? What if we don't have the ability to bake? What if we don't have an oven? What if we don't have the utensils? So what if we're buying it from a bakery? Now we need to go find a bakery that can meet these high-level requirements. Now, in the next episode, we're gonna talk about performing a gap analysis. Obviously, this is a simple one, but the concept is the same. We're gonna perform a gap analysis, and that gap analysis is for us to go find bakeries that can meet these needs. Like, for example, what if the bakery has nuts in their bakery and they don't have the ability to separate the nuts to prevent allergies? Or right away, that's a gap. And we can't order from that bakery, because if somebody in the party has a nut allergy and they eat the chocolate cake, we're gonna have a problem. So there's a gap for you. That's an example. So what we wanna do is find the bakery that meets as much of these as possible, and find and knock out all the gaps. And that's where we're gonna perform in the gap analysis for next episode. So I hope you guys found some value in this episode. Please again, like or subscribe if you guys find some value. I really appreciate that. And always remember, we always want to do the best practice, but if that's not possible, there's always a real practice. Thank you so much.